What is going on, everybody? And in this video, we are giving you a state of the market and stock picks for June 23rd, 2022. So that sounds like something you're interested in. Consider subscribing, as I do provide daily and weekly updates to get you prepared for the day in the week ahead in this lovely market that we are currently situated in, that is just continuing to spiral out of control. So, being said, state of the market. Ultimately, in this video, as far as stock picks for this video, I'm kind of going over the general picks, kind of your tech value in banks. I think that's more important to concentrate on any one particular stock for tomorrow. Again, if you want to find a specific stock, I think we get more of a better view of that on pre-market. I do morning pre-market calls. If you follow me at Hemi137 on Twitter, I normally do a call about pre-market, about almost an hour before market open, to kind of let you know how I'm feeling out the current market situation. But as far as state of the market today, what really mattered was Powell. He was in front of the Senate today. A lot of information he regurgitated was a lot of the same information. But ultimately, what we can take from that is that what he once said, that he didn't feel we were going to go into recession. Now he's saying there's a possibility of a recession. So he is walking back essentially everything he has said the past couple months. Is changing. His story is changing very quickly. And one thing also to note is that we've taken notice of his essentially his physical take on the stress that he is going through with dealing with this inflation currently. That was showing again today in the fact that there was a lot of talk today about rate increases, how they're not really going to affect bringing down inflation. All it's going to do is hinder personal and business loans from happening. And what's going to happen from that point is that your growth is really going to start hurting because of that. And ultimately, that inflation currently right now is driven by gas. Yes, we still heavily reliant on gas, even with all the major influx of EVs and Tesla becoming one of the best companies in the world. Also realize that we are still heavily reliant on oil. And until that changes, inflation is going to continue to run because of one man. His name is Putin. And if you like my storytelling skills, I tell you what, I appreciate it. That's not my forte. But nonetheless, what we got, the biggest issue here is that the inflation is, the U.S. is going to try to combat inflation. Yes, they can raise rates and stop people from purchasing and essentially from supply building up, and trying to prohibit people from wanting to go out and buy things because inflation is just so high. So try to bring down the demand. The problem with that is you start facing de-inflation, and you also start thinking about stagflation is what is potentially could happen with the way the rates are. So you're deterring people from buying things. That's the only way you can try to get a hold of it. Even Powell didn't have an answer today to the Senate on that, so they don't have the correct tooling to do that, even though they do gauge. They got a lot of indicators on oil. They don't have any particular tools to combat that. Again, because now it's essentially driven by one man and one man only at this point. There's still a lot of talk about how Europe is essentially going to be, I think, 100% ciphered from Russia at that point in December. So there's a lot of things that could potentially get really bad really fast. We're starting to slowly see that inflation is creeping up because of oil. Everything that affects one another. It's a domino effect. Food, right? You want to start talking about food and other gauges for inflation. They're always highly volatile, so you can't use food. So food isn't really one of those that is typically marked. Used car vehicles has been a big one that's gauged a lot of different kinds of inflation. When you start talking about core inflation over the past couple months, even year, used car prices have gone absolutely through the roof. So again, inflation is inflation. Can the Fed actually combat that by deterring the demand? Is what we're looking at. The market is not looking good, and it's continuing to get worse. Now, the Fed continuing to raise interest rates and raise interest rates isn't going to help. It's going to make things worse. But if you deter people from wanting to buy anything just because it's so expensive, essentially locking people down in their houses because they can't go anywhere because gas is so high, what happens next? And so that was kind of the story that came out of the Senate, leading to Powell essentially saying that they're going to drive, not exact words, but they're going to drive interest rates so high that we head into a recession, because we can no longer, we're going to essentially stunt the growth of the economy because of what's going on. And so, again, a very interesting spot. Do we continue to sell? We tried to bounce. Now you want to start talking about technicals. We really tried to bounce. Actually, today we had the break. I actually thought we were going to sell off, but this thing bounced a lot bigger than I thought it did. But then again, towards the end of the day, once Powell came off, the market started selling off pretty quickly. So it'd be interesting to see where we land tomorrow. If we come back below this 37.27, if we get back below this, we're going to go revisit that low and a potential attempt to try to break it. Again, this would be the first actual test. First, you get the bounce, then you're going to get the test to see if it's going to break or not. And then from that point, we'll determine. Again, if we break this level, you're going to start hitting panic levels, and then people are get full-on recession mode and all the worries that come with that. That could potentially be it. Again, the first real signs of the Fed essentially saying a recession is potentially, if you've noticed, Powell's kind of been in this whole thing where he's kind of just try to ease everybody into it. Let's just plant the seed of recession. And then, yeah, we have been in a recession for the past 6 months. He'll tell you that 6 months from now, because he's not going to tell you now because there's no true evidence of it. We sure could be in recession. But again, employment numbers have to come way down and a little bit further down than what it currently is. And then understand that he's saying there could be the possibility that we could get out before a recession. It's not fully hit yet, but we have to really determine that. Earnings are really good gauges on that and kind of determining that. That's why I kind of say go with industry leaders, because if they're always innovating, Tesla's always innovating, Apple's always innovating. If they can keep track of what's going on in the market and still manage to do really well, which Apple and Tesla have, then really what is the case? Your average Joe that's just starting a company is going to get hit, and they're going to suffer. And this is why big corporations will continue to gobble up the really good smaller corporations around this time, around recession, because of that. So it's interesting to see. We're going to hit full-on panic mode and start breaking levels. We'll have to see. But today was again surprising. We started to push when Powell was speaking. Again, essentially no news was good news, I think, is why we started to push. There was nothing new that was stated. I guess people were kind of expecting Powell to come out. I was kind of expecting Powell to come out, be extremely hawkish. But really, if he didn't come out and straight say he was going to 75 or 100 basis point move on the next meeting, the market would just start pushing up and probably reclaim the 75 point basis move around the 3,900 is kind of what I was looking at when we started pushing. But then again, we went towards the end of the day. Again, where we land is really what's going to matter. Now, if we look at Bitcoin, I've been just real brief around Bitcoin. Bitcoin's really closely coupled with the index right now. So just kind of watching that relation and kind of seeing what it does there. But as of right now, there's still a lot of growth in crypto. There's a lot of stuff that is changing underneath everything that's going on. So even though this Bitcoin may be selling, you have to understand everything is behind closed doors and not really, it's in plain sight, but it's not really advertised what's going on with the technology and how it's being built around us as we speak. Again, it's how electronic payments was taken in consideration, right? A lot of people wouldn't take electronic payments. They didn't want it to happen. Everybody wanted cash. And then next thing you knew, slowly but surely over the years, everybody was kind of slowly, the temperature rose slowly. And then before you knew it, all they did was accept electronic payments. So that being said, again, kind of general, I want to jump over some general industry leaders here and kind of go over tomorrow. Tsla, again, showed really great strength, but again, wicked. It is having a very tough time trying to break this 20 EMA. Again, the biggest question is Tsla will continue to do this. After this breakout, it's not breaking out. It really attempted to try hard, and it's just not going. Again, if we continue to float around here, I can see us playing this range for Tsla, bounce between the 625 and the 700, getting ready for earnings. I think after another week or two, I think this thing can start getting in earnings mode and start really pushing. But I think we could potentially revisit one last push down here, and then we have to see where we go from that point. Could even be a potential break here if you really want to call that a break here. Could it be a potential break, a retest? Where is this going to land tomorrow is the question. The fact that this thing wicked down like that, I do not like that. Could break back in and then come back in. Again, no technicals have really been playing out. All breakouts have receded after the initial short-lived pop, and then it breaks back down into the channels and then continues to sell. So again, something you have to be mindful of. BA, so you got your value currently okay holding. Again, BA had a lot of good news, so your value seems to be doing decent for now. You don't want it to break 131. Again, I could revisit lows. A lot of things are kind of in that same spot. All we need is one break tomorrow, and this thing's going to go see the lows again, and then we start revisiting lows. So we have to be careful about people getting panicky about stuff, and then when people start getting panicky is when problems start really occurring in the markets and elsewhere. So, and then our good old banks. Where are our banks at? Our banks have been holding, which is a good sign. I don't like the fact we've been kind of hovering around this 115 part. We kind of try to do a retest, a push up, kind of just rattle around. Today, just rattle around, try to push up, got rejected. This does look like a potential retest here of the 115. Are we going to continue to start selling off is the real question going into earnings. We do have Powell again tomorrow in front of the House. There very well could be some answers there, maybe some good questions that could potentially drive down the market. So right now, it's just really being patient. This consolidation areas, you have to be very careful. Even for myself, I got a little burn today myself for trying to play consolidation areas. I thought it was going to be a good flush down, but it didn't. It reversed and started pushing. So this is why risk management is very key in this environment because these consolidation areas, you just want to avoid those days purely for trading. If you can sit out, today was a good event that could have potentially started really selling, but it didn't. Again, Powell came in with a lot of generic information that was all the same, but just kind of throwing the fact out there that recession is a possibility. So if you made it this far, I appreciate you. Again, I don't want to put too much in this video. I want to kind of make it general about the index and the different sectors. That way you can have a good insight going into tomorrow. Again, you have better insight on what's more playable tomorrow if we do move. You want to get a gap up or you want to get gap down. You don't want it to be stagnant. If it's stagnant, you're going to want to wait. You're going to want to wait till it moves first and then take position. Let it show you where it wants to go and then go from that point. Don't assume you know where it's going to go and then it reverses on you and goes the opposite way. Again, the more patient you are, the more it pays off, especially not in any market or in every market, but more so this particular market. So being said, if you made this far, I appreciate you. Go ahead and drop a like. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.